Well, we've got heat and humidity on the way, especially on Saturday, because we're going to see temperatures in the 90s, low to mid 90s throughout much of the eastern U.S. And those dew points will be coming up. In the meantime, we have to get there first, and that means some rain for tonight into tomorrow morning. We'll have all that, the weekend, the long range, and so many other things. Your head will just not be able to handle it. All here on the
Yeah.
tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show. So far, so good. I hear you. You hear me.
Yes.
And
Yes.
once we get the lag time on the stream, we'll find out if if they can hear us. So if you can hear us, just
Yes.
type a message that says you can hear us, and that'll make us oh so happy. So anyway,
That's right.
uh, there were a couple of things I wanted to bring up at the top of the show, but now I've forgotten what one of them was. Oh, so the first one is Billy the Kid is worried about me now because I have um, a bobcat. So he tells me to make sure not to go out at night, or if I do go out at night, make sure I have a flashlight. Billy, I don't know if you're still on. I saw your messages earlier on the chat board. Um, don't worry. I'm very careful when I go out, and I really don't go out much once it gets dark unless I absolutely have to. So I already walked the dog, and he's done for the night. Also, from Billy the Kid, he was worried about the GFS showing a hurricane moving up the East Coast and moving right over Long Island. Apparently, he read that somewhere. So, no, I'm not concerned that there's going to be a hurricane apocalypse on Long Island. I'm not even. My concern level right now is zero. In fact, it's probably absolute zero because there's nothing there and there's nothing to worry about. You might as well worry about an asteroid hitting the Earth. Although I will say, Joe, Gemini's in retrograde to Libra, and apparently that's whenever Gemini's in retrograde to Libra, I always have issues. So no matter. Hey, uh, on
I,
that.
I must tell you, I'm seeing, just for the fun of it, and maybe we'll do this in the next few minutes or whatever like that. On the 18Z GFS,
Mhm.
I'm still seeing blue. I'm still seeing snow
Yes,
as of the end of the month on May 31st.
yes,
Not necessarily here, but I mean out in Wyoming, Nebraska, parts of Colorado, up in northern sections of Ontario. I mean, what is this? We should have been done with this long time ago, but here we are. I still see blue. I still see snow. Not that it's going to actually verify, but we'll see what happens. We get to the end of the month.
uh, yeah, exactly. And we've gone through this before, on and off through the years. So there's nothing miraculous about this or anything devious about it either. It's weather and it happens, especially out west where you can get snowfalls in June sometimes too. So it is what it is. What was the other thing? I was something. Oh, so Sal Blandino, bless his heart, is all
Sal Blandino, your old friend Sal Blandino.
yes, but
Yes.
but he before I yell at him, uh, he did ask a good question, and it was in reference to the fact that we've been talking about that there is, saying that the block is gone and there is no block, but he was wondering why, if there is no block, is this cold front that's approaching on Sunday, which by the way is taking longer to get here, is going to slow down and temporarily get hung up and before it moves on its merry way. And the reason for that is, Sal, it's actually a very good question because it makes sense. If on the one hand I'm saying there's no blocking, on the other hand I'm saying that there's a front that's going to stall out. So first off, always remember that we're talking about different levels of the atmosphere here. So we're talking about the jet stream levels at 10, 15, 20, 25,000 feet and beyond. And that can sometimes be decidedly different than what the type of weather that you have at the surface, especially in the springtime, where you could you could look at the upper air and think that you're going to see temperatures in the 80s, and in reality, at the lowest levels, you've got some sort of backdoor cold front with a high building down. But it's actually a very easy thing, a very simple answer, and that is if you look here on the map, what happens is the jet stream is far less strong as you go further to the south than it is to the north. So the front is actually parallel to the flow. So you have a southwest wind aloft and a cold front that is dropping southeastward, and it gets to a point that it just can't go further south because you've got southwest winds aloft. So that's why it's temporarily stalling. So what's going to happen is there's something in the northern stream that's going to finally come along and sort of push it out. And you see how the winds then back out to the west and the ridge starts to build and the weather system is gone. So it was actually a very good question. But Joe, but what came to mind for Sal is, he complains so much about every time it's going to rain. Why not just move to the southwest, for God's sake? It hasn't rained there in years in some places. You would not have this problem, Sal. Just go to Arizona, go to New Mexico. I mean, I don't want to make light of the people that are, it's very, obviously it's super dry, and obviously they have huge water problems, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what, Sal? Go. It's waiting for you. You'll never have to worry about a blocking pattern ever again. Well, you kind of do in a way in the West, in a different sort of way. So anyway, but I thought it was a good question, and you know me, Joe. I have a very big heart, and I wanted to share that with everybody, with our audience tonight, and we bid them a big hello to everybody on the chat board on this Wednesday, the 18th of May, 2022.
The predictability is on the low side for day 5, which would be Sunday, where that cold front will be moving in our direction. And in fact, the people over at the Storm Prediction Center are saying that the extended range outlook guidance continues to vary regarding the exact timing of when the cold front moves into parts of the Mid-Atlantic and New England. But although there's nothing there now, they are saying that some severe weather, a severe thunderstorm threat may indeed evolve by Sunday afternoon as a wave, a frontal wave, and that would slow the front down a bit, potentially develops, and then moves across northern New England. And depending upon the timing of the front and the strength of any kind of wave, somewhat more favorable deep layer flow and shear may be overspreading the warm sector, and we would be in that warm sector, presumably Sunday, midday and afternoon, and that could support an organized risk of severe weather. So keep that in the back of your mind. We may have the weekend end with a bang, so to speak, on Sunday with this weather front and the potential of a wave developing on it, which would only enhance or accentuate the threat of showers and thunderstorms later on in the day on Sunday. So they write severe probabilities may eventually be introduced for Sunday. Introducing the severe probability on Sunday. So, we're not doing that right now, but they may be doing that in future guidance and model runs. If not, maybe tomorrow for day 4, they might put a little area, including the New York metropolitan area, for severe weather. If not, maybe when we get to Friday and they're looking ahead to, Saturday and Sunday, who knows? But just there may be some troublesome weather coming our way when we get to later on in the weekend. We shall see.
I tend to think, which I do sometimes, I tend to think, in my never to be humble opinion, that the dayside Sunday for most of the area from eastern, well, maybe in eastern PA and in the Catskills, north and west of 84, the thunderstorms will arrive late in the afternoon. I don't think they should get if I don't think they're going to get further east than that early. And the other issue may be that the severe weather risk may be more inland than at the coast, and that after sunset, a lot of those thunderstorms could wind up dying out. I think that's a possibility as well. So this is all conjecture at this point. We talked about the potential maybe for some severe weather risk in the Northeast and northern Mid-Atlantic states on Sunday yesterday. I didn't see anything today that really changed my mind, other than the fact that is the timing of the front in terms of who gets what and when. And Barry Goldberg hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, Barry. Mid-spring super chat hit, and yes, and Mother Nature flipping the switch to some summer weather. Was we're gonna. I think Saturday. Some places are gonna. I think we're gonna see highs. Some places might get to 96, 97, maybe even 98 away from the coast.
That we said this, that people complain, oh, it's too cool. Oh, when is it going to get warm again? Oh, I can't stand this chilly weather. Remember that? And then all of a sudden, you're right, like a switch gets flicked, and boom, we just hopscotch right over quote spring weather and right smack into the throes of a midsummer heat wave. And guaranteed on Saturday, a lot of people are going to be complaining, saying that it's so hot, I can't stand it so hot. Make it go. Nobody, you can't please anybody, Joe. You
No,
just
but
can't
the
please
folks
anybody in this thing.
the folks on Long Island will get a little bit will get a break on Saturday because on Friday, I'm sorry, on Friday because the wind is going to be south southeast. On Saturday, it's going to be more southwest, so temperatures are going to probably push up toward 90. I'm thinking 90 near 90 along the North Shore and probably more like 70s along the immediate South Shore. So I did my Sal Blandino asked me a question, so Johnny Quest will give you his question, Joe, and he's on the chat board. He says, would you explain what causes mammatus clouds? And are they predictor? Do they usually precede tornadoes?
I don't think they, I've seen mammatus clouds on more than a few occasions. I always see them after the severe weather event has occurred. These look like cotton balls, like gray, or sometimes if they occur at sunset, the cotton balls are like of an orange coloration. Very unusual type of cloud cover, and I guess it's due to this particular type of instability. But I've heard people say if you see them, that means that tornadic activity is on its way, or whatever. I've never seen them in advance of a severe thunderstorm. I've always seen them after we've gotten battered around with heavy duty rain or lightning or thunder or high winds or hail or whatever like that. And then after that, again, not all the time, but in some cases, I guess when the atmosphere is unusually unstable over, that's when we see them. We don't often see them here in the Northeast. I'm told that they're much more frequent out over the nation's midsection in the central part of the country. So
And as Coin Pig, who's watching us, I believe, if I remember from the UK, points out that mammatus is, and he's correct on this. The mammatus is a sign of weakening. So they would come, as you said, you see them usually at the end and not at the beginning. Or if you see them, it probably means maybe there was a severe thunderstorm nearby that you might not have completely experienced, but you're getting some of the blow off from it. So it's all part of the plot. You're always learning something new. Everything is so special in the weather world.
in the weather world, indeed.
And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm in a good mood, it's because I only got about 2 hours sleep last night. I've been up since 1:30 in the morning. I made the mistake last night because I mistimed my dinner. I ate it too early, so I got hungry. So I ate something. What I ate doesn't matter. What the outcome was does, and it kept me up all night. So I woke up at 1:30 and I went from my bed to the couch and turned the TV on, and that didn't help. Then I went back to the bed, and that didn't help. So I just decided, you know what? Why don't I just sit down and do weather posts? So I was sitting here banging on the keyboard at 3:30 in the morning, putting up weather posts and cutting videos. So
I gotta be very careful. That has happened to me on occasion that I've gone to bed, or we've gone to bed, and at like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll very quietly, because I don't want to wake up Renata, I'd get up and I put on my socks and my slippers and come downstairs, and here I am at like 2:30 in the morning typing away, and then she notices that there's nobody in the bed. Somebody went to bed with her, and now the bed is empty, and now she gets up and she comes downstairs and she comes bleary-eyed into my office and saying, "It's 2:45 in the morning. What are you doing?" I said, "I couldn't sleep." That's what else am I going to say? I can't sleep. So maybe I'll typing a little bit. It'll get me tired, and I'll go back upstairs and. But
Yeah.
I empathize with you, Joe. I know exactly how you feel.
I napped on the couch for about an hour this afternoon. Whenever I take a nap, I usually try to keep it under half an hour or 45 minutes tops. So I was really pushing the envelope because if you sleep more than 45 minutes, then you go into that deep REM sleep, and when you wake up from a REM sleep in a nap, you wake up feeling far worse than you did before you went to bed. So
Hold it, Joe. Hold it. What?
Chuck Cardillo has an interesting question. Why is it green?
Why?
Or
Chuck, the executive producer, alerting me to a Chuck Cardillo question. Why is the sky green in the aftermath of a thunderstorm? I've
yeah,
only seen it happen once.
I'm not sure.
I'm not quite sure. I'm
Yeah,
not quite sure. I mean, wavelengths of light,
probably.
that may come into play. You know who could answer that question? Damn it!
Who?
If I had his phone number, I'd call him right now and put him on speakerphone and ask him. Stan Getzelman. Stan was one of our professors at City College in New York, and he wrote this big, thick volume, The Science and Wonders of the Atmosphere, and he had a whole chapter on wavelengths of light and how they affect the colors of the sky and the colors during an eclipse and the colors during a thunderstorm. And he would probably be able to answer right off the top of his head why we have green skies sometimes. But that's something that I'll have to do a little bit of research on. Maybe I can come back with that tomorrow night.
All right.
Why does the sky turn green?
yeah, usually it's before severe weather, like
Right,
severe
right before
thunderstorms
severe
that
weather.
turn
Yeah.
into weather.
Would you like to lecture here? Aye. All right.
Oh God.
Anyway,
Well, back
but we
to
appreciate these questions.
we
We
do.
appreciate the questions on the chat board. We don't ignore you. We look at them. Sometimes we can't answer them, and then we say we'll go back and we'll research it, and we'll come back tomorrow night. So now I know between now and tomorrow night, just for Chuck, I'm gonna look up why we have green skies, and why sometimes when I get too high up in altitude I turn green. But that's
Yeah,
a different question
yeah.
altogether. So
That's a different sort of green. That's like for me. It's when
yes.
that's for me. That's when I'm out on a boat.
See now, David Schwartz, David. Yeah, well, you in the boat, right?
Yeah.
You never go on cruises.
No.
You don't like cruises, so.
No.
David Schwartz says it has to do with the bending of sunlight from the super towering thunderclouds. You get it with very severe thunderstorms without a tornado as well. So,
There you go.
yeah.
All right. We're bending light now. We're doing all sorts of things tonight. All right. So here we go.
Refracting.
Yes.
We're refract. Hey, Joe, that'd be good. We have a let's have a softball. We'll put a softball team together, right?
The
And we'll
refractors.
call ourselves the Refractors.
Oh yes. What happens when we play the Gas House Gorillas?
Yeah. I'm only 96 and a half years old.
That's
Dun,
right.
dun, 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 dun.
Well, marching on the satellite, what do we got? We got a lot of clouds starting to roll in from the west, and this is it's a warm front cold front combination that's coming through here. I threw in the chance that tomorrow morning somebody could hear a rumble or two of thunder when the rains go by. It's a compact area of rain on the radar that's moving east. None of it is close. We've got some renegade echoes aloft that are starting to show up now in the northeast, but none of it's really close. Most of it is over back in the Great Lakes and back through Ohio and western PA. But after midnight, it's going to roll in, and then it's going to roll out, and it's going to it's going to wreak a little bit of havoc tomorrow as far as the temperatures are concerned, and I'll get to that momentarily. Otherwise, it was another absolutely gorgeous day here in the southeastern part of the U.S. We had sunshine. I got up above 80 today. The dew points are low, and I think you're going to wind up being warmer on Saturday. You're going to be hotter on Saturday than I will be, which is a plus because
Yeah.
it makes me happy if I don't
Then
get to
that's what you
90
did.
degrees.
You did that all year last summer. I mean, all summer. I mean, we've had like days here, 94, 96, 92, whatever like that. And it was lovely down here. You know,
Yep.
that's. I mean, we were always told folks who live in the southeastern states, like in Georgia, suffer because they've got all the oppressive humidity and all the heat, and it's even worse down there than it is up here. And what happened? He moves down there. Admittedly, now you're what, 2,100 feet above sea level?
22.
21, 20, 22?
Right.
Oh, well, regardless of telling you. So you go by dry adiabatic lapse rate, and that's oh my goodness, you're probably about
Well, 10 degrees
7 or 8
Fahrenheit.
degrees cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that as opposed to sea level. So that's what's
Oh
doing it to
yeah,
you.
there's always a difference when I drive from where I am and I drive into town, which is in a bit of a valley. It's about 600 feet lower, and you can feel the difference as the temperature's there. Uh, the air kind of heats up and it's sort of trapped in there, maybe all around with mountains all around you, and it is about 5 or 6 degrees warmer when you get into town. Meanwhile, let's back to the satellite as we look at this tonight. We've got little pockets of severe weather that are breaking out in a few places. Some blow-ups going up now in southeastern Colorado and moving into parts of Kansas. And we'll check those out on the radar in a moment. In the meantime, you can see the rain area over Ohio. A couple of arcs of moderate rain in southern West Virginia and also back into central Kentucky. There's one severe thunderstorm warning that is up at the moment. This was the one area, one of three areas, I believe, today where the Storm Prediction Center was dealing with risk. In the meantime, uh, as we look out west, starting to see a disturbance coming out of Colorado here in southeastern Colorado with some showers and thunderstorms in northwest Texas that's swinging eastward. And there's also some activity in the northwestern part of the Great Lakes over northwestern Wisconsin. We have what looks like a little bit of a Boeing line there coming in from west to east across northern Wisconsin with some scattered heavier showers behind it and a little bit of rain ahead of it. And also we have some activity going on in the Pacific Northwest. We know what the story is in the Southwest. Still no break in this pattern. No rain in sight there. The Storm Prediction Center tonight has slight risk in that Colorado zone that we were in Oklahoma, and a small portion of northwest Texas and southeast Kansas. That is coming with some tornado risk. I'm sorry, that does not have. They're not putting up tornado risk there, so it's less than 2%. But they did have a 2 to 5% tornado risk in Kentucky, and a small area of 2% in northwestern Wisconsin, and over into on the other side on the Minnesota side. So these are relatively small areas geographically. Tomorrow, day two. So this has actually been upgraded a bit from earlier. So this is for Thursday into Friday. The Storm Prediction Center has an east-west band of slight risk from Missouri to North Carolina and northern South Carolina and everybody in between. And they now have in parts of northeastern Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, and into Wisconsin. The tornado risk tomorrow in both areas, we see 2 to 5% from Missouri to western North Carolina and 2 to 5% from Minnesota into Wisconsin. Day 3, which is Friday into Saturday. Day 3, and this is the next cold front that's not going to get here um, until Sunday night sometime. So here we have marginal to slight risk from northeast Texas northeastward through the middle Mississippi Valley and all the way up through the Great Lakes, including Chicago, Milwaukee, and Detroit, and St. Louis, all in line in that slight risk. They do not have anything in the long range, but they do have predictability too low, and as Joe said earlier, acknowledging that there is probably the chance that there's going to be some severe weather in the Northeast at some point later on Sunday, or probably Sunday evening. The rainfall from WPC in New England, in coastal New England, down to about Connecticut and Rhode Island, they've got a quarter to at most a half an inch, and then half to 3/4 from there south, 3/4 of an inch to an inch pockets in some places. Texas, especially central and east Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Arkansas, and across southern Louisiana, an area of 2.5 to 3.5 inches of rain over the next 7 days. Also, some 1 to 2 inch rains and some 2+ inch rains over parts of Florida. Some showery rains of 1/4 to a half an inch in the northern plains. A little bit more, some pockets of heavier precip in the northern Rockies, and I'm guessing some of that's going to be snow. And it's kind of winding down a bit in the Pacific Northwest. And as we said, still no change in the overall weather scheme in the Southwest. So uh, I'm thinking. By the way, just to jump ahead and then we'll come back while I'm setting up the maps. I don't know how far out you looked in the long range. I'm thinking that the Memorial Day holiday weekend is going to be a decidedly different one from what we had last year, Joe,
Oh yeah.
which was a horrible doom and gloom weekend, raw, windy, and cold. I think we're going to be the polar opposite of that for that weekend. I also think there's a chance. I know I'm early here, but judging from the way things are happening, if there's a trough that's going to drop down into the west and hang around there, I think there's a chance that we could wind up having uh, warm, summery. Well, I don't know how hot it'll be, but it probably will get very warm. Um, uh, all three of the days with maybe a minimal amount of rainfall.
Well, let's hope so. Well, it couldn't be any worse than what we went through last year. Last year, just as a reminder to some of you, I remember with Memorial Day, it was like barely cracking 50, and we had clouds, and we had some spotty on and off light rain or drizzle. It was just absolutely horrible, and anything would be better than that. And I agree with you, Joe. I think we'll see the flip side, quite a different situation during the Memorial Day weekend. Of course, I'm going to be out in the southwestern states for hopefully a view of this meteor shower on the night of May 30th and 31st. And from what I'm seeing here from the Climate Prediction Center, they are putting out a small risk or a slight chance of both excessive heat and high wind out in the southwestern states. I could tell you the last time I was out in that part of the country, this was back in 2012, 10 years ago. We being my wife and my daughter Maria, I remember we went to Las Vegas, and we were walking on the strip, and I said to them, I almost feel like I'm walking into a giant-sized 1800-watt hair dryer. I mean, it was, you know how they say it's a dry heat? Yeah, it was a dry heat, but man, I mean, when it gets hot out there, bone dry, they're not kidding, and it looks like we might be experiencing something like that again around the Memorial Day weekend when we're out there later this month.
And actually, that you mentioned that what's a bit unusual about what we're going to get this weekend in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states, the northern Mid-Atlantic states, is usually when it gets hot in May and in June, you do it on a west wind or even a northwest wind with a ridge along the coast, and as a result, the dew points are usually low. So you'll get days where temperatures run up in the low to mid 90s, but the dew points are down in the uh, upper low 50s or even the 40s. So it's not uncomfortable at all. It's just hot, but
Right.
it's dry. This time it's what this for this particular weekend. Unfortunately, because we're going to have south-southeast winds the day before, the low-level moisture is going to come in and bring the dew points up. Not so much on Friday when they'll be down in the 50s, but on Saturday we're going to have dew points in the 60s with temperatures up in the low to mid 90s. So it is going to feel uncomfortable for Saturday. So that's a little bit, and maybe even for part of Sunday. So it's a little unusual to see that in May because oftentimes when it gets very hot in May, it usually comes under a scenario where you wind up with relatively low humidity.
And the chairman hitting super chat and asking a question. Central Park will hit 90 on Saturday. Time for the Joe and Joe annual predictions on how many 90-degree days for Central Park. Average 15, most 39. I remember these years, 1991 and again in 1993. 39 times we hit 90 at Central Park. But it's a funny thing. I remember 1988 more than any other year in terms of, and also 1999. 99 and 88. I don't know. Maybe it was because we had, double numbers those 2 years.
Right.
But I mean, like 88, I remember we already had like in June we had like 2 or 3 major heat waves, and that set us up for a rather hot and oppressive summer. And 99, Joe, I mean, we had so many days that had been racked up at or above 90, even above 100. But it all went away by the time when we got to August. All the heat suddenly disappeared
Yes.
in '99. I mean, it was like you let the air out of the heat balloon, so to speak, once we moved into August. Had we had as many days in the 90s or even close to 100 in August as we did in June and July, we would have had more than 39 days. It was so there are just some years that just stick out in your head in terms of oppressive heat and humidity. So I'll leave it up to you. I'll give you first shot. What do you think? How many 90s do you think
Well,
Central Park will
I,
get this year?
I felt a number come into my head, and I'm going to be a little more bullish for 90 degrees highs than I have in the last few years. So I'm going to say 25.
That's funny. A number came into my head. You want to know what it was?
No,
21.
21.
So I'm saying 21, and you're saying
And so it's
25. So
25.
average it all out. Average it all out. Almost practically 2 dozen 90-degree days, with the first one I presume coming on Saturday. We'll see.
Steve Lapointe hitting super chat tonight. Thank you, Steven. Most appreciated. Hope you're doing well. And let's go to, and I'm actually, the lack of sleep has been, I don't know why. I feel so awake, and I'm hoping that that's not the case, that I crash and burn in a couple of hours, as I really would like to sleep through the entire night without interruption. So keep your fingers crossed on that. But anyway, let's go to the upper air, and I remembered to switch the maps. So there you go. And here we are. So if you we just follow the flow, of course, as we always like to say and do, and as a rather dominant west to east flow across the United States. This is our map for tomorrow morning on the GFS. There's this large, complex upper low that stretches east-west on the eastern side in Newfoundland. On the western side, we've got an upper low dropping down into Montana, and the whole structure of that circulation goes as far back as the Pacific Northwest coast. So that's dominating everything. The jet stream is displaced a bit south of normal. Weather systems are moving along. There is no blocking to speak of. And as we go through this next couple of weeks, most of the troughing, here comes the first trough for Thursday, Friday, drops down into the Rockies and Plains. So as a result, big ridge builds right off the East Coast. That's a strong ridge for this time of year. So that explains the heat. There's no backdoor cold front to shut it off. And then we just have to wait. There's a short wave. You see it right there in the Dakotas on Saturday. That is going to be swinging northeast of us on Sunday. We're trying to push that weather front through, but as we showed you earlier, with the southwest flow, it's probably going to get hung up, and it'll have to just wait until the ridge starts to build back again as we move through the rest of next week. You see that little flat high there. Another trough swings through probably along about Wednesday, Thursday in the northerly flow. I'm sorry, in the westerly flow across southern Canada. And then guess what? You go into the weekend of Memorial Day for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and you're going to be seeing building high pressure along the East Coast. Now, there looks like there's a little kink in there on Saturday. You see it there. The model's picking up on something in Illinois that it weakens as it moves eastward. So perhaps that might mean for some showers and thunderstorms, probably inland more than anything else. But that's so far off. I'm just saying in general, in a general sense, I think the Memorial Day holiday weekend is going to be a very warm one. And running through the rest of the forecast period, we have pretty much the same thing. In fact, Joe, the westerlies are starting to weaken a bit toward the end of the month, and on the last day, we're into the first days of June. So we're starting to see the westerlies beginning to pull slowly northward, as they like to do when we get into June, which we both consider the first summer month. And by the way, there is hardly there's the GFS has finally, I think, thrown in the towel when it's come to that.
With the tropical
Oh,
system?
that was just ridiculous. It just you knew something was wrong when it just couldn't get it beyond 7 days, and then suddenly from yesterday, all of a sudden it's back out to like day 13, 14, and 15. So I think the European is going to be correct here, which has been saying all along, and I'm just rolling it back westward now, so I'm just going backwards here in time. Instead, whatever forms in the southwestern Caribbean, and there will be clouds and showers and slightly lower than normal pressures there. The European was taking it pretty much straight west, and the GFS is kind of doing the same here. So unless something comes back and there's some monumental surprise, yeah, toward the end now, Joe, you have to go out to day 13, and it suddenly tries to form something in the Northern Caribbean. So this is, as I said yesterday, this is a complete waste of time. We don't need to really concern ourselves with that. So let's go to the surface here, and then we can do a little Briller Jeopardy and uh, finish up the show.
And Alfred K. Phillips, who's our friend up in Alaska, 25 this afternoon.
Oh, blowing and drifting. Alfred, do you see polar bears where you are? I'm just kind of curious. So if he puts the answer up on the chat board, let me know. So let's run through what the GFS. The European wasn't too different today. Again, the models are kind of differing a little bit, slightly with the timing, with Sunday's cold front. I love running the maps backwards because you can see where the weather's come from. So here's tonight's rains and some heavier downpours for overnight into tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow morning, still raining in southern and southeastern New England. The back edge probably around New York City. By afternoon, it's mostly done except in Vermont and New Hampshire. The rest of the East Coast, in fact, most of the eastern half of the U.S. is pretty quiet. You see a little arm of precip there in the northern plains, well, the far northern plains along the Canadian border. And yes, that is snow up in Montana on Thursday night in the mountains, and also into the Dakotas by Friday morning. But of course, that low goes so far to our north and west. We start the southwest flow, especially on Saturday. And you see a few scattered storms that form Saturday afternoon and evening. Here comes the cold front. You see, Joe, on the new GFS, the front is much further west, so the thunderstorms are not anywhere close on Sunday evening. That's not to say it's right. It could change its mind and go a little faster on the next two couple of runs. The front gets hung up. There's some rain as a little a wave develops on it on Monday, and then once that goes out, we'll be okay for Tuesday into Wednesday. Then we got to get that next system through on Thursday, and then we go into the weekend where we're dealing with what I think is going to be a warm weekend. And then you see this first system here for Saturday. We'll see if it's real or not. We'll see how the models handle it in the coming days. We've got a long way to go. But even if it is real, Sunday and Monday should be very warm and probably mostly rain-free. So if there's a weekend, if there's a holiday weekend of the summer holiday weekends, Memorial Day is always the one that's the most at risk for something going wrong. That's just the way it goes. You usually don't have problems in July for the 4th of July, and that's not always on a weekend anyway, but everybody makes it a long weekend on one side or the other or both, depending on what day of the week it falls on. And for the Labor Day holiday weekend, most of the time the Labor Day holiday weekend is good. Every once in a while you get one that's a problem, but for the most part it winds up being a decent weekend for Labor Day.
Well, you know what we say about Labor Day. There's always at least one hurricane on the map, and hopefully it's not over your neighborhood on Labor Day.
Yes, we don't want that. So
Yeah.
let's do. You have Le Jeopardy Day.
I've had Le Jeopardy for quite some time here, and I apologize to Scott for because we just things have been happening lately, so we just haven't had a chance to use it. But we were going to use it now. This is for Mr. Chiaffi, and this is another Briller Jeopardy where the chat board plays along with Mr. Chiaffi as we continue the theme of retired tropical systems. So here we go. There were 3 tropical systems in the Atlantic Basin who were retired beginning with the letters B and K. How many of them can you name? B and K. 3 systems in the Atlantic Basin with the 3 of them with B and the other 3 with K. retired
Oh
names. Which
God,
which
you
of the
know,
three?
Joe, I have to tell you quite honestly, there was once upon a time I could have rattled these off, and I just guess maybe I archived them someplace, and I don't remember. I want to say
All right.
I want to say for the K Storm that Kyle, because that was the one. Wasn't Kyle the one that lasted for like 40 days or
Yes.
something? Um,
Very, very long. In fact, they even one of the technical discussions from the Hurricane Center even led off with staying alive, ha ha ha. Kyle is still
did
alive.
did did they
Yeah, I
did they retire Kyle?
no, they did not.
Well,
Believe it or not, they did
how
not.
about Klaus? Didn't we have a Hurricane Klaus?
Klaus is one of them. Yes, and in fact, Scott said, "Hint, Santa, LOL."
And now the
1990.
the B the B storm. I'm going to say Beulah.
Beulah. That's right.
It took a while
And you
for it
know,
to kick in, but it kicked in.
if you were a fan of Truth or Consequences, the TV show with Bob Barker would ask a question of a contestant, and after he asked a question, he would give them exactly 2 seconds to answer. And if they didn't answer within 2 seconds, you heard Beulah the buzzer.
And of course there was
But
the
also Beulah was a hurricane, so they
right.
they
And of course
retired.
there's
160 mile per hour south of Brownsville.
right. And of course there's also the great character actress Beulah Biondi, who played Jimmy Stewart's mother in
Was
It's a
always
Wonderful
Jimmy
Life.
Stewart's mother.
She always was playing
Always
somebody's
Jimmy.
mother.
But she was Beulah Bondi was his mother, in It's a Wonderful Life, and also in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And in fact, they asked Jimmy Stewart about Beulah Bondi. He said, "Oh, she's always playing my mother.
Yeah.
If they needed my mother, they'd go to ask Beulah. Beulah Bondi would always be my mother." Yeah.
There's a wonderful movie if you ever catch it on Turner Classic Movies with Beulah Biondi and Lionel Barrymore and Sir Cedric Harwick. And I don't remember the title of the movie, but the basic plot is that Beulah Blondie and Lionel Barrymore are an older couple. They are raising their grandson, who I think was orphaned, and the grandmother, Beulah Blondie's character, dies of old age, and Sir Cedric Harwick plays Mr. Death, and he's coming for Lionel Barrymore, and Lionel Barrymore traps him up in a tree, so that because he doesn't want to leave his grandson. So
Right.
he has to wait for his I think it was his daughter or niece who was a real stick in the mud to come and get the grandson. It's a sad movie and yet it's a happy movie at the same time because it's about life and life and death and everything else. So if you ever see it, I'll try to I don't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but it's a nice little movie if you ever get to see it.
When death when death takes a holiday.
That
Could
could
that be it?
that could be it. That could be it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
good movie. Ken Musillo just
Huh?
hit super chat. Thank you, Ken. Most appreciated. The man from Whitestone. Hope you're having a good night, Kenny.
I'll give you a hint with one of the B storms, Joe.
Yeah.
One of the three B storms.
There's another B storm.
Well, there were 3 B's and 3 K's.
Oh, 3 B's and 3 K's. So Klaus and Beulah. Oh my
Right.
God.
Now one of the B storms is a palindromic name.
Like Bob.
You know what Bob? That's right. 1991.
Right. Okay.
One of the costliest New England storms.
Yeah, I remember that clearly. That was a fun storm. Those were the days where you didn't have a lot to work with. And I saw that. I remember seeing the disturbed weather on Friday and telling the executive producer that we may have a hurricane coming up the East Coast. Of course, nobody believed me, and we did. So that's a whole nother conversation for another time. So Bob, and I need a hint for the K's. I really don't know.
You really don't know one of the
Katrina.
3 storms.
Katrina. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she did a little damage.
And the third one, is it male or female? So Klaus, Katrina,
The third one is a maelstrom,
a male with a
and also
K.
a maelstrom.
Yes,
Yeah,
with a K. A male named Storm with a K.
I can mention one last name or surname, and you'll immediately get what it is.
Well, I'm thinking of Chris with a K, but I don't have any recollection of a
No. How
Chris
about
with a K.
Eichner?
Oh, Keith, Hurricane Keith.
Yes, yes.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, what about the
Category
what
4
about the
years ago.
the last B storm?
If you were an old-time TV game show fan, on I've Got a Secret, they had Bess Meyerson, Bill Cullen, Henry Morgan, and who else? One
Betsy,
one young lady,
Betsy.
Betsy Palmer, 1965.
Yeah, the brain was starting to kick in little by little there. Took a little while, but I didn't have any alcohol. Like I haven't had alcohol for months. Took a little time to kick in, but it kicked in. So
And
good.
here's the bonus question.
Okay.
The bonus question, Joe. Since the naming of tropical systems in 1953, how many were retired in the Atlantic Basin? Multiple choice. Was it A, 53, B, 74, C, I wish I had the voice like Dom Pardo for this, 94, or D, 114? Again, A, 53, B, 74, C, 94, D, 114. How many have been retired in the Atlantic Basin since 1953? How
All
many
right.
names have been retired?
So if it's from 1950, so that's 70, 70
53.
53. So that's 69 years, right? Am I doing the math right?
Right,
69 years. So
right.
if we take the higher number, it would imply that more than one storm, an average one name per year, is retired. And I'm just wondering because there was a stretch there where nothing got retired, or very few. So I'm going to say, what are the two middle choices?
B, 74 and C, 94.
All right, you know what? Because it's been active later on from the mid 90s on, I'll say 94.
And you would be right. Congratulations, Joe. I don't know what the prize is for this, but you did get the bonus question right.
Well, don't I get to spin the wheel, and if I hit $1, I win $1,000 in a bonus spin?
You could if you find we're a cheap show though. We don't even have a wheel.
Oh, we are. No, if that's one thing we are a cheap show. We are a very cheap
Yeah.
show. So I went to Drucker's today because I had to do some food shopping.
Did you say hello to Sam for me?
Sam was there. I'm not kidding, Joe. It's a small little store right in. Rather than go to the local big supermarket here, which is the only supermarket in town, and the nearest one from here is like 25 miles. So it's either that or go to Walmart, which oftentimes I'll go to Walmart to get most of the stuff I need. But the prices, I mean, my God, it's insane how expensive everything has gotten. I mean, really just crazy with some of the prices, especially with some beef and the meats. Anyway, there's this small supermarket right in the center of town, which is the village, and it's a very very small center of town, Foodland, and I went in there. I got some of the stuff I. It was actually quite pleasant not to be in a big overwhelming supermarket where you basically need to take a bus if you've got to go, you come in on the produce aisle and then you have to go all the way to the other end to get the milk, which is designed on purpose to make you walk through the whole store since most people buy milk. It's marketed that way. But it was nice. I got in, I got my stuff. Actually, there's a nice butcher in there with fresh meat, and needed some meat for some chicken soup that I was making. I put the chicken. So actually, it was a turkey chicken beef combination soup, and it came out very good. I also I baked uh, I baked 2 dozen oatmeal cookies tonight, right before the show. So I was a very
Wow.
yes, and I'm going to make tomorrow. if I have time tomorrow afternoon, which I should, I'm gonna try to bake my own bread, and we'll see how that comes out.
I hope it doesn't come out the way it did on with Lucy and Ethel.
Yeah.
But you need a saw.
Yeah, no, I don't have an oven big enough for that. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to discuss with you on this family show. No, I guess there wasn't. Oh,
We'll be back. We'll
oh,
be back at 7:30 tomorrow. That's
7:30
good.
tomorrow. So yesterday I looked on the website of the local animal shelter there. They had two of the cutest dogs. A little small beagle mix named Daisy May, and they didn't say what the breed of what the other one was, but it kind of looked like a dachshund type dog. And I've always wanted to get one of those. And his name was Herbie, and he was really really cute, very cute. And I thought about it. I was going to go today to just see the dogs, and then I decided not to because I kind of I'm so attached to my dog, and I just don't know how he. I think he would be fine with a second dog, but I would hate to bring one home, and it turns out that there's a problem, then I would have to bring him back. I would feel terrible. So for now, I have not brought a second dog home, but I still may do it. I still may do it.
I remember when we were shopping around for a dog, and we eventually got our Yorkie. But I remember going into one kennel, and there must have been like 15 dogs in a big cage, and they were not doing anything. But as soon as the door opened, they immediately started jumping up and down and barking and looking at you like I guess they knew or they know instinctively. Here's my chance. Here's my chance that I might get out of here and go home with somebody. And
Oh yeah.
you
No,
almost
let me.
feel like you want to take all of them home.
I will tell you this. I
But
will tell you this. There's no question and there's no doubt in my mind that the dogs know that when they're rescued. Uh, and I, I I I saw it in my dog when I brought him here. I mean, he was very happy to be here, but uh, I think it was probably within 2 weeks I drove up to New York with him, and I took him with me. And
right.
when we got back to the house, I've never seen a dog do this, but when we got back to the house, he ran inside and Joe for 5 minutes he was jumping on all fours, just so happy that he was back home.
That he was home.
Yeah.
That he was
So
home. Yeah.
they know that they've been rescued, but more importantly, what it really turns out to be is the fact that it actually turns out to be that they rescue you and not the other way around.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
if you
My
just if,
Renata is out of the house 2 to 3 times a week, and when she's out for 8 hours or so, and I'm by myself here, it's very strange. I don't hear anything upstairs. No TV is going or washing machine or whatever like that. It's very quiet, and it takes me back when I was in this situation with my dog. My dog would be right here. I have another chair in here in this room, and I'd bring him down. He'd sit there, and he'd be watching me. Sometimes I'd give him a belly rub, and then he'd give me a little few licks on the face and everything. And I'd talk to him and I'd say, "Hi, how you doing? How you doing, Woofy?" And it's like that. And it's so empty now. I don't,
yeah.
and I tell myself, get a dog. But then I said to myself, I don't feel right because I feel like I'm replacing my other dog, and
All you know what, Joe,
get a dog.
all you're doing is the love you had for your dog that doesn't change. I mean, I have pictures of my Springer Cody in my bedroom, hanging up, and he's always going to be there, and he's was a wonderful dog. But what you're doing is that the love that you would give to your dog that's gone, you're giving it to another one, and they will love you right back. And I will just say to you, if you do decide to get another dog, get a rescue because there are so many there's so many out there. It's really sad, and the stories I hear about how some of these dogs, because I go to the dog park every day, that's my social. That's the only human contact I have is when I go to the dog park in the morning for a couple of hours. So when I go to the dog park and meeting up with people who've just adopted dogs and the stories you hear. I mean, there's a woman that brought a dog the other day that was so this dog was so vibrant and happy, and she said she just got him 2 weeks ago. She got him from someone who had him basically chained up in a room, and he didn't even know how to walk up a flight of stairs. I mean,
Oh,
it's horrible. I've heard stories far worse. One where they got a dog from a woman who had like 15 of them, and this particular one was kept under the bed and had never been outside ever. The dog was 2 years old. It was a small dog. Never been outside, never been out of the room, and never and literally lived under the bed. I mean, there are some really sick people. I mean, I'm and
right.
I don't care if anybody's insulted about or upset about what I'm saying here. There are some really really sick people out there that do horrible
Right.
things to other human beings and to animals, and it's just awful. And if you could save one of those dogs that's had a miserable life and um, give them a home, they will love you so unconditionally that it's not even I can't even describe it. I know with JJ, I've never seen a dog so happy when he's in the house or with me. Um, he's a great dog, and uh, that's why I'm thinking about maybe getting another one because I would like to, I'd like to do that again and maybe rescue another dog and give JJ some company.
Christian Fede, Christian Fedia says, "Uh-oh, Joe, don't be like Ralph Cramden." LOL. That's that episode where
No, I know when he
he
brought
tells
those.
Alice right, they were over the limit.
Listen, well the shelter that I go to is a no-kill shelter, thankfully. Um, so that isn't an issue. And if they can't get them adopted, they send them out to be trained to service dogs for people who need them. Uh, but just like I said, a second dog means twice the work. Having to walk two dogs instead of one. Having to take two dogs to the dog park instead of one. Having to buy twice as much dog food. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but I'll see how I feel tomorrow. I may take a ride to the shelter just to look at them, just to give them a look.
I'm showing this actually is a Christmas ornament, and my sister got me two of these, one for the tree, and the other one so I can hang it up on my. And I'm always seeing this on my when I'm sitting here at the computer desk. I have it hanging up here on the desk, so I can always be reminded. That's exactly what my dog looked like, Comet. So, but I didn't. I did. He was Comet. My daughter named him Comet. I used to call him Woofy. I say, "Come on, Woofy."
Yeah.
So
Oh well.
3 years. I can't believe it's been 3 years. So
So think about it, and we'll leave it at that. All right, 7:30 tomorrow.
yes, sir.
All right, everybody, 7:30 tomorrow. So we'll see you tomorrow night on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Thanks for all the super chat hits tonight. Uh, have a great night. Be safe. See you tomorrow night.